All right. I'll start this session by giving a small introduction to the VELUX perspective on the smart home and some of the observations that we have done so far and what we have learned on our journey towards creating our first solutions to a smart home. Oh, there we go. A bit too fast. Sorry. Let me just clarify our perspective into this. We have all heard about the connectivity, the Internet of Things, the connected homes, and also the smart homes. And today I'll not talk about connecting cities or the connected cities as such. I'll try to elaborate a bit on the difference between the connected home and also the smart home and where we are making our play into that. Oh my God. Okay. This is going to be fun. When we started our journey into the smart home arena a couple of years ago, we looked at this stat, this exact stat. So it's not to talk about or show you all statistics, because today the statistics will look quite similar. From a building component supplier, looking at statistics which shows a compound annual growth rate of about 14% in the coming years is, from a business point of view, of course, attractive. So that led us into investigating this a bit further, that we thought this might be a relevant segment for us. In addition, and more importantly, we of course also moving where our customers are. So if we have more and more customers being interested in a smart home and the technology behind that, that's of course something that we as a company would also need to look into. So that's the exact statistics that we used when we made the decision to move forward with our smart home solutions some years ago. Since then, and that's a very current picture, and that shows a perspective on the smart home landscape. And the smart home landscape today is, as you can see, fairly cluttered. So there's a number of suppliers of platforms, hardware, software, services. So it creates a very fragmented picture from both a supplier and a user point of view on how do I get a smart home to work? What is it that I need? What are the technologies that governs that? I'll come back to our play into how we see it, but our initial observation is, apart from the ones you see up here, we see there's at least three big ones, which we define as the global integrators, which are going to play a role in an end user, end consumer, homeowner context, and that's Google, Amazon, and Apple. So those three we see have a vast interest in getting the data out of the homes of customers. So we have made a very deliberate decision to say these are the three ones that we, as a start, will lean up against. So we'll work towards Apple, Google, and Amazon, and have also had intensive dialogues with them in our work so far. A testament to the focus of these three that I'm sure you all know. But as an example, not so long ago, Amazon Alexa announced that they are investing in a prefab home builder called Planet Prefab. So their customers will now get their turnkey solution already built with Amazon Alexa. So of course we need to say, is that a trend moving towards Europe? This is a US example. Is that a trend moving to Europe? We are not sure, but it's certainly something that we are monitoring and to see what's the future and what's the play these big guys are playing. But more importantly, around what the big guys are doing, we have invested in figuring out what do the customers say, and are they ready for a smart home? So we have initiated some research across a number of European countries to find out what's the current appetite for a smart home solution. And just to illustrate, because I know my good colleague within our research department want me to say, this is not based on 100,000 interview or questionnaires. It's based on an ethnographic study. So we have commissioned someone to move in, not move in, but visit customers in their homes to understand actually what's the daily life of customers, of homeowners, home buyers, and how could a smart home work for them, or are they interested in a smart home? So it's a more, it's a smaller sample size, but to more understand the values behind interest in a smart home. And some of the things that we learned from that to answer the question, are they ready for a smart home? The initial response is, it depends. So it very much depends on where they are, and I'd like to elaborate. First and foremost, what they say is a fully connected smart home is neither feasible nor desirable. But smart home solutions are part of homemaking. So I think it goes back to the old saying that my home is my castle, so I would like to be in control. So customers are very clear in their response to say they are not interested in a fully flying solution which takes away all control for them, so it operates their home for them. So that's one of the responses here. They would like to understand and be able to override and do the operation themselves where they see fit. How they perceive a smart home, and that's coming back to the values behind it, is that it's an optimized and centralized solution. So it's one big system looking at all of it for them. Another point of view is that they see the current landscape of solution as a patchwork. So they're not really sure where to start and where to finish. So if I need a fully functioning smart home, I have so many different vendors and so many different systems, and I'm not sure how I should get that to work together. So there's certainly, going back to the overview I shared with all the different vendors, there's certainly some work to do to get that to work in a kind of a similar or an easier way for them, so they understand how do I get it, what does it do for me. So they say as a final comment here, a smart home demands a well thought out grid. What they also said was, although they did not want a fully functioning smart home, they would like to have selected smart solutions. So in given cases, they thought it'd be very relevant to have those repetitive tasks done for them. So the full solution is currently, for most parts, a no-go. Select solutions, very much so. We tried to do a kind of matureness ladder, going from the basic and manual operations of standalone products, so moving into a context that we are familiar with, moving on to an electric digital context, moving on to a connected solution that I was referring to earlier, and then on to a fully optimized solution, and say where are the customer segments based on that scale. And if you look at the existing houses, where you need to rebuild the whole house to get that all singing, all dancing solution, customers are actually more inclined to be basic manual rather than smart home. If you look at new houses, there's a much greater appetite to be electrical digital and get some guidance. So when is it time to ventilate, or when is it time to do something specific or a given task? And then we have a segment, but apparently fairly fast-growing segment of typically males and tech-savvy was the findings that we had, was that they have an interest in a fully optimized home. So that's where we see the current customer base being at the moment. So in a VELUX context, what have we done? How have we used those insights in creating our solutions, and I know there's been a reference to that a couple of times over the last few days. But our starting point is our vision: to lead the development of better living environments with daylight and fresh air through the roof. We said we do not want to create another gadget in the smart home market. If we are creating a solution, we're creating a solution because it adds real value up against what we're trying to achieve. We know the challenge, and the challenge was illustrated early on today in our Healthy Home Barometer. A third of all kids in Europe are living in unhealthy living conditions. I think that's a testament to what is the challenge that we're actually facing. So we know there's a challenge out there that we need to address. There's no sound in this video, so I'll not play it, but have a look at the indoor generation if you haven't seen the video already. It's a fantastic illustration of the problem that we are facing. So what we did was, in creating our solution, we took the data that we have collected from our model homes, a full-scale model homes in 23 different markets. We collected the findings in a little book, and some of the highlights, just to give you a sense of it, was that we know the moderate bedroom temperatures ensure a good night's sleep. We know good ventilation lowers temperature during night. We know solar screening protects home from overheating. But we also know that people do not walk around opening and closing their windows 3 times a day. We know to get the full effect of this, you need to automate it. So that was a key learning for us. So we have created a system together with our good partner in Atmo, which is called VELUX Active. This system is a connected product. It's also a sensor-based product. So in the room that it's installed, the sensor will monitor heat, humidity, and CO2 levels, and it will open and close the windows accordingly. It'll open and close the blinds accordingly to the conditions. So if it's too humid in the room, too hot, the windows will open. And in addition to that, because it is a connected product, we took the liberty of adding a number of watchdogs, so it became smarter. So if it's if it's more humid outside than inside, of course the windows won't open. If it's warmer outside than it is inside, it will not open. All the windows are equipped with rain sensors. We also have a limitation, so if it's too cold outside, and that's also the question I get, can it be too cold to open the windows? A VELUX window can. Because if it's lower than 2 degrees, below 2 degrees Celsius, we cannot guarantee there's no snow on the window. So we will not dump a ton of snow in the room. So we have made that small limitation as well. So that's our system, and we have spent a lot of time on updating and improving the system since we launched it last year. We're updating the system about every 6 weeks. So there we get new features or improved functionality. And the customer response is something that we keep monitoring. It has surprised us launching a smart home product how many questions we get. We normally get a few questions, but we have a lot of end consumers calling our call centers, asking how do we connect it to my router? How do I get the digital part of the product to function? And then we have been blessed with a number of comments as well. Say people have suggested improvements of the product. An example, because the product doesn't open below 2 degrees, we have a number of customers who could not understand it didn't work in the wintertime. But that's because it's too cold. So we need to have a much clearer guidance on what the product does and how it works. But the important thing is, does it work? And we asked the customers, we interviewed 700 customers who bought the product, and 84% were very happy with the product, so very satisfied. More importantly, 62% of those who have the product felt that their indoor climate improved. So I think that's really what we are trying to achieve. That's going back to the whole purpose. We want to improve the indoor climate, and 62% agreed to that, and 61% would recommend to family and friends. So that's quite interesting for us. It is a connected product, so we're also getting data. We can see where our products are installed in compliance with GDPR. If anyone was wondering, it was a hefty conversations we had on that. So it's all compliant with GDPR. We had an initial dream that we could get so much data that we could sell it. I think every company is through that. We have decided that's absolutely not something we're interested in. We are very interested in improving the product itself. So the sales part we have limited. We have learned a lot since. Particularly, I want to highlight the data lakes coming in is a big learning for us. Being a release-based organization, updating coming from producing physical windows to a smart home product that needs to be updated every 6 weeks is a fairly different mechanics. So that has been a learning for us, and of course it's also been a learning working with our partners from Netatmo, how we work with a digital company. We have started the journey from us last year. We are extending our play this year with integration to Apple and Google. We are also expanding into other ecosystems next year. So we're extending our reach there, and of course we are also improving the product. So I'll finish this part by saying we are absolutely committed to improving or creating better living environments, and we'll do so by investing also significantly in a digital future from our side. Thank you very much.